All right, let's talk about the week 2 preseason game. Rams 13-9 win over the Chargers. Nobody cares about wins and losses in the preseason. This was just a battle of backups, as it usually is with the Rams, and it was with the Chargers. It was also a battle of field goals. So, game wise, sloppy, not exciting as a big overview, but there was a lot of excitement in my notes for players popping up, playing, debuting rookies for the first time in this game. On the Charger side, we got to see Lad McConkey, we got to see Kimani Vidal. So let's talk about how they looked and what it means or might mean for Dynasty and fantasy purposes. Let's start with the Chargers backfield situation. The guys after the obvious starters, Gus and J.K. Dobbins. So in this game, the Chargers started with Jared Patterson. That was true the week prior. That stays in line with the depth chart, so that made sense. Then he was in for Patterson started for 2 plays, and then all hell broke loose with the backfield flow with the Chargers. I can't recall seeing anything like this. The way that running backs were used in a preseason game, the way that Harbaugh used all these running backs in this game. I'm not saying that good or bad, but see if I can describe it. So Patterson plays the first 2 plays. Then Vidal comes in on play number 3, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. Usually the starter for the backups, the number 3 running back, if he's in first, they'll get the first series, they'll take them out. The next series, it'll be the next guy. So when I saw Patterson out there, I thought that's what's going to happen. This is going to be Patterson's drive, then it'll be Vidal. No, Patterson 2 plays, then in came Vidal. And I think it was the second play that he was in, Vidal, he got a handoff and he just rumbled and sliced up the middle for like a 10-plus yard run. Really nice looking run. There was right from the jump with Vidal, there was no rookie hesitation, rookie jitters, as we see with a lot of running backs, especially in their debut games. They get very in their head. They get a little sluggish making decisions when they see that the holes aren't there. It might take them 2 or 3 games to kind of get out of that. Usually they need at least 1 to start getting over that. Like Trey Benson had a rough time his first week and then looked much better his second week. Didn't have that with Vidal. He just hit the ground running, and he looked good. I would not say that he looked great, and I would not say that he looked neutral or skittish or all the way down to bad or concerning. He looked good. Better than Jared Patterson looks. But Jared Patterson has more experience and the upper hand right now. But I'd say the fact that they put Patterson in for a couple plays, then brought in Vidal, and then Vidal played for a while in this game, I'd say that they're probably leaning or knowing that Vidal is the better way to go over Patterson. Even if that takes a couple weeks into the NFL season, maybe week 1, Patterson would have to be that number 3 running back if something happened to Dobbins or something happened to Gus. But it kind of was clear through watching this game that Vidal is their best number 3 running back. He's not better than fully healthy days gone by J.K. Dobbins, but I don't know if he's better than ACL and Achilles, hasn't played in 2 years currently, J.K. Dobbins. Vidal might be. I have more enthusiasm for Vidal in this situation based on what I saw in this game. Had several nice runs up the middle. He's got bulk. He was taking hits and rolling off of them and getting extra yards, taking tacklers with him. And it's not like he's some 220-pound back either. He's just stout, well-built frame. The movements were quick and decisive. Really nice debut for Vidal. Again, not a superstar. I don't think they put him in, let's say, week 1 if Dobbins just can't go, if he's not going to be ready, or he's run out of juice, which I don't think is the case. But we haven't seen Dobbins play yet in his post-wounded state. But Vidal looked like he could handle his business if he got into the games. It reminded me of, and this is a cautionary tale, potentially a warning, or at the time it was actually a good thing. Do you remember a couple years ago when Joshua Kelly was all the rage of a fantasy sleeper that pretty much everybody loved? He was a 4.4s runner. He had a good career at UCLA. He had a great combine pro day numbers. Everybody was all on the Joshua Kelly train. I think his rookie season, now I'm going off of memory, his rookie season, maybe it was game 1 or game 2, a starter got hurt and he had to go into the game, and his debut, he was really good, and he became a little mini fantasy sensation in redraft, with everybody having to jump on the train and try to get in on him. Vidal looked like in this game what momentary sensation Josh Kelly looked like when he debuted and got hot. Josh Kelly wasn't amazing, but he was competent. He was good. He had NFL movement skills. He had a good size. Everybody loved the story. It looked like he was going to be something. And where's Josh Kelly now? And Josh Kelly on the Chargers the last couple of years has been a massive disappointment. And there's been no mega injuries with Kelly for that to happen. But 1 year, Kelly looks like a sensation because he's a rookie and because everybody wants it to be true about the rookie's going to be, something special. Then after a couple weeks, he kind of fizzled out, and Josh Kelly was never really a thing with that. He had blips here and there, but he never became the starting running back for the Chargers, a future star, or, he just needs to get to another team and get the opportunities. But there was a time when we were super excited about him. That feels like where we're at with Vidal right now. Is the situation has some opportunity for him to maybe be the number 2 if Dobbins falters or gets hurt again. So it seems exciting, and it probably would be nice if he gets in and has to do some work with Gus. Then if Gus were to go down, that's going to leave Vidal as probably their top guy that they would have to go to, given their depth chart. So there is hope. There's fantasy hope here now. There was in all post-draft and in the summer. Then when he was low on the depth chart and people were speculating in the last couple of weeks that would he even make the team, he kind of lost his steam, lost his momentum. I think he gets his momentum back here. He's in a good spot because after him, Elijah Dotson came in, who was a flash star, quote unquote, of the preseason, last preseason, didn't make the team and then just fizzled out. Or he actually, I think he did make the team, then got cut, put on a practice squad, or at some point Dotson was on the roster a lot last year, coming off a really nice preseason performance. I was blown away is overstating it, but I was kind of blown away and excited by what I saw of Elijah Dotson. Then when he got into the regular season, it didn't look as great against, first team defenses. Then this preseason, Dotson just doesn't look like anything. It doesn't look anything like the guy that splashed onto the scene in the preseason last year. But he was in third in this game after Vidal. Then, so we got a little bit of Dotson. Patterson started 2 plays. Vidal came in for a good amount. Patterson jumped back in for a second. Vidal came back in. Then Elijah Dotson started playing, and I thought, well, we won't see any more Patterson or Vidal. Dotson got like a series to himself, and then we saw, I think Vidal came in on the next series and started taking more touches. So I was like, that's curious. They're okay, he's a rookie. They're going to give him a good run here. That's fine. That's good. Then the next thing I know, Isaiah Spiller's in the game, which I thought he was dead and buried, but he got a couple of plays or a series to himself. And then all of a sudden it's into the second half, and there's Jaret Patterson back in the game at a certain point, and then Vidal's back in the game in the third quarter. Then in the fourth quarter, there's Dotson and Spiller. Then here comes, what's Jaret Patterson doing again in the fourth quarter? And then here comes Vidal back again. I've not seen, usually in the preseason, there's just kind of a set pattern for these running backs to work, and the only time we'll re-see them again after they come out with their unit or they switch quarterbacks is if there's an injury and they're the only ones left to take touches. Harbaugh's not doing that, and we're going to see that with the wide receivers here in a second as well. It's like there was Vidal and Patterson. I'm pretty sure we're taking touches into the fourth quarter. I know it was in the third quarter. So, but of all the running backs that I watched here, Vidal's definitely the most talented. Jaret Patterson is talented enough as well. He can hold his own, kind of like Vidal, only just doesn't have the juice that Vidal has. But Patterson has experience and he's capable, so he may end up being the number 3 early on until Vidal gets his sea legs underneath him. But Vidal's the kind of runner that I don't think he'll wilt or need long to get up to speed in the pros. He's pretty hard-nosed. So, but before we get way too excited in Dynasty about Vidal, just remember how excited we all were about Josh Kelly. It just, Vidal kind of reminds me of him as a runner and a player. Hopefully for him, his sake, he has a longer run of success than Josh Kelly had. But everything you think about Vidal, you'd have thought about Josh Kelly. He is a super hard worker, one of the nicest people that's ever gone into the NFL. There was no red flags on Josh Kelly at all. He hit the ground running for the Chargers, and you're thinking, wow, what a great pick by the Chargers late in the draft. This guy's going to be somebody, and then he never was after a quick flash in his first year, and I think he had a little bit of a flash in his second year, but it was no consistency, no breakout, consistent star moments. So, but as preseason wild as it was to see the running backs kind of rotating in and out all game, I saw that to some degree with the wide receivers. It was really strange to see where some of these wide receivers were working. Normally, you see that set pattern of, okay, here's the starting group, with the B team. And then when they come, we take them out, and then we bring in the next round of wide receivers. Then we might switch quarterbacks and bring in the wide receivers. You can't even hardly remember that they're on the team. The Chargers didn't do that at wide receiver. There was all kinds of rotation and weird things happening. I'm going to focus on 3 of the guys specifically. When they came out with the starting 3, I know Brendan Rice was out there. I don't even know who the other 2 were. And it's hard to focus and take a lot away about the Chargers' passing game and these young receivers because Easton Stick struggling. Then they had Luis Perez. I mean, it was just bad quarterback play. I think maybe the leading receiver in the Chargers for the game might have had 2 catches. This was not a masterpiece to watch for any scouting purposes. And the wide receivers get hurt the most because they're not getting any catchable balls. They're not getting enough work to really get a feel for how they're doing. So back to I remember Brendan Rice being out there as a starter with 2 other guys, none of which was Ladd McConkey. So I didn't even think Ladd McConkey was going to play once I saw that happen, which made sense. He hadn't been 100%. I know he's going to be their main wide receiver. So on the second play of the game, lo and behold, there's Ladd McConkey. So he doesn't even start the game, but he's in on the second play. And so now I'm focused now, like, okay, I'm going to watch Ladd McConkey. But it was kind of like watching Malik Neighbors in his debut. It's like, okay, will somebody please get him the ball so I can see how he's doing, how he looks in his routes, how he handles the NFL contact. But Easton Stick wasn't even really looking at him, and if Easton Stick did look his way, Easton Stick can't deliver the ball like what a Justin Herbert or a real NFL quarterback's going to do. So I watched Ladd McConkey just blocked a lot. Probably had a good blocking grade. He might have been the best blocker grade of the game. So that's exciting. That's exactly what I want to see with Ladd McConkey, is his great blocking skills. He was putting in a good effort to make sure to block. But I watched all of his passing routes that he ran, and despite Easton Stick not even looking his way, or Easton Stick not even in control of the game, Easton Stick just trying to survive and find somebody to throw the ball to before he got crushed. Watching McConkey run through his routes and run super smooth. It's like when you watch Malik Neighbors in his debut game, even without getting the ball. There's just something different about these guys and their ability to move around the field. McConkey was my impressions of McConkey from this NFL debut, faster than I thought. I mean, he was moving quick, and I'm talking like straight line speed. When he made his cuts, it was Ladd McConkey gold. The DBs couldn't keep up with him, but the quarterback had no idea what he was doing. So he wasn't looking for McConkey, and couldn't deliver it to him if he wanted to anyway. McConkey did get one catch for like 5 yards. It was fine. Everything I saw from McConkey looked exactly like I wanted it to look, except for I'm like, why is McConkey playing with this garbage offensive group, not getting any targets? You're just putting him out there to potentially get hurt. But he's a rookie. He needs to be out there. So he was, after he didn't start but was in on the second play, then he was in for a little while, blocking and running routes to nowhere because he was never getting the ball. But overall, looked good. looked smaller than I remembered, but fast and tough and the cuts and everything that you wanted. So looked fine, just not enough targets to get super excited about, which is actually good. It's not gonna. He didn't do anything in this game that's gonna drive his ADP crazy and not take him away from being a great value in redraft or in dynasty rookie drafts. So after McConkey runs with like Brennan Rice and some other guys, wide receivers, I look and I see, I'm like, in the second quarter, late in the second quarter, I hadn't seen him the whole other time unless I missed if he was in for a play or two, because I was watching the wide receiver group, especially McConkey, just to kind of see what the routes they were running. And so all of a sudden, is that DJ Chark? DJ Chark's like, if this was a hockey game, DJ Chark was in like with the third line. Like, what is DJ Chark doing that far down in the pecking order? Like, he's probably going to be a starter. So McConkey doesn't start, but he plays a good amount right off the bat. Then DJ Chark comes in way after that. And I mean, he looked okay, but it was just like McConkey, he's running routes to nowhere because he's never going to get the ball because the quarterbacks are terrible for the Chargers on the backups. And he's blocking, he's doing all that you want a wide receiver to do, but I don't see him getting any passes. But I feel like I know what DJ Chark's capable of. Not excited and not against him, but I was more miffed, like, what is he doing in the game that late? So, and he would come in and then he would go out, then he was playing into the second half. He may have even been in the fourth quarter. So that would normally freak me out if I was counting on a DJ Chark, but it just looked like Harbaugh was like, screw protocol. We're just going to rotate these guys in. We're going to give them chances. I want to see what they look like. And, there's none of this, you play a series or two, then go take your pads off and go yuck it up on the sidelines. It's like, you better be ready to rotate in and out of this game. So Chark got in, didn't really do anything. Then after, if this was hockey, if there was a fifth line that went into the game, all of a sudden, either late third or fourth quarter, I believe, there's Quentin Johnston. So there's an obvious, when you see Quentin Johnston in with the last group of wide receivers, you shouldn't be shocked by that because he's a bust, and I don't even know if he's going to make this team, or more likely he'll be traded before he gets cut. But message sent on him being in that late. So then it makes me think, well, then is DJ Chark being in that late, is that also a message? And is Harbaugh really getting ready to reward who he thinks are like the hardest workers, or the ones seizing the day, or whatever cliche Harbaugh's going with? Is he going to put like McConkey, Rice, and the other rookie, or not the other rookie, Josh Palmer? Is that going to be the starting trio? No DJ Chark, a veteran presence as a starter. It's a bit of a surprise, but maybe DJ Chark may be running out of steam with his career. So, but Quentin Johnston's definitely out of steam after what we all saw, what I knew was coming, that came to fruition. Now he's working at the bottom of the barrel group of wide receivers in a game with Luis Perez at quarterback. It's pretty embarrassing how far he's fallen. So I'm sure they're trying to send him a message or break him down to build him up, but there's not a lot of time for that now. But just know Quentin Johnston was way down on the depth chart in this game. So those were the major Charger items. quick items on the Rams. The Rams is not as exciting. The Rams is as you would expect. Jordan Whittington started and had another fine game. He got a little more coverage attention in this game, as you would expect after what he produced week 1. There was corners were stepping up to him as a challenge for obvious reasons, and they did a better job on covering Whittington in this game. But he also caught 5 passes for 52 yards and 8 targets. Played about half of a game. Stetson Bennett went. I think Stetson Bennett went the whole way, or almost the whole way for the Rams. Much better game for Stetson Bennett here. You see flashes of Stetson Bennett. Like, okay, I get why Sean McVay is trying to make something of this guy. I liked Stetson Bennett as a prospect just fine coming out of Georgia, but obviously he's had all the controversy and time off last year, so he's lost a lot of steam. And he had 4 interceptions last week. Not the same this week. He was more under control, better placement of the ball, everything you'd want to see in a progression of a young quarterback. Started to see it here with Stetson Bennett. And Jordan Whittington was obviously his top target, and they worked well together. Nothing shocking to report from the Whittington side. Xavier Smith, wide receiver, second-year wide receiver with the Rams. He worked pretty well in this game. He's flashed some skills of being an NFL contributor. I don't think he's going to be an NFL frontline guy. Just checking to see if I got a hot football note come in from a source, but I did not. Smith had 5 catches, 8 targets. He was after Whittington left. It was kind of Xavier Smith became the go-to guy. He might make this team. The Rams are pretty deep in wide receivers. They might try to put him back on the practice squad again. But Xavier Smith has a pulse, but kind of like a lesser Tutu Atwell type of receiver. He's developing fine, but I don't see there's not a turn towards watching him play and going, oh, here's a star in the making. It's just he's good. Let's wrap it up with kickers and defense. Just a quick note that just caught my attention on kickers, just because I'm watching these preseason games and all of these kickers, especially name ones, established ones, are missing so many kicks in the preseason. Josh Karty, the rookie kicker for the Rams, he missed a field goal. He hit 2 of 3 field goals, so not a big crisis, but he did miss a field goal. He looked fine otherwise. But on the other side, Cameron Dicker, who was, near perfect last year, he was perfect again in this game, 3 of 3 field goals. It seems to me when I look at the way that the kickers go off the board, that Dicker always seems to be undervalued, taken for granted. But he's, to me, when I'm watching the game, he's like one of the best 3-4 kickers in the game. He incredibly accurate, and now he's hitting some from distance. So just watching him versus Karty kind of made me reconnect with just how good Dicker is, that if I'm going for kickers in fantasy and I'm going to bypass the big 2 at the top, I think Cameron Dicker would be the one that I would want to roll with of all the other group. And obviously there's a lot of kickers names you can go with that'll be fine, but Dicker had a hell of a year last year, and he's been accurate this preseason and in this game, for whatever that is worth. Hot kicker talk. Then we'll wrap it up with one IDP that kind of stood out. A second-year corner for the Chargers, Deone Leonard, if I'm pronouncing it might be Dean Leonard, but it looks like it's spelled like Deone, but I think it actually is Dean Leonard. The cornerback Leonard had a really nice game here. A couple of tackles, but 3 pass breakups, and it just seemed like every time a big play stop on a pass was happening, or if there was potential trouble, Leonard's I could see the name on the back of his jersey. He was there, either making the play or in the neighborhood, or getting in the tackle or moving the ball carrier in a direction where somebody else would get the tackle. It's just like every couple plays it seemed like he was integral in it, and making some money plays, especially on pass breakups. So for whatever that is worth, I just wanted to note him as the best looking IDP. All right, that is it for my notes for the Rams-Chargers Week 2 preseason game. We'll be back at you with our next video game report tomorrow. And I am out of here.